Hey, this is WWE superstar Neville, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
Are you ready to beat the man? You have to beat the man. What you gonna do when Hulkamania destroys you? The kid you dig that sucker! Have a nice day! The champ is here!
With your hosts, Steve Credo and Jonathan Benjamin.
Welcome, everybody, to another wrestling podcast. I'm Jonathan Benjamin.
And I'm Steve Credo. Jonathan, we have an amazing show this week. We will be breaking protocol because usually we're a topical show. We like to just talk wrestling topics in general. But Jonathan, today we're going to be talking about the WWE pay-per-view Money in the Bank.
That's right, Steve. And to help us do that, we have none other than the man that gravity forgot, WWE's own Neville, joining us today on the show.
That's right, Jonathan. And for all the listeners out there, head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. You will find all of our links from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Everything's on the site, guys. Just head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com.
But we've made you wait long enough, so without further ado, here he is, the new sensation, Neville.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is the man who gravity forgot. You can catch him live this Sunday as he competes in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's an honor to have him on the show today. Here he is, the new sensation, Neville.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going great, Neville. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You've had quite the busy few months transitioning from NXT to the main roster. How are you doing today, and have you caught up on your sleep yet?
Almost. No, I'm doing fine. It has been very busy, but it's been awesome. I've had last few months of my life have been like a whirlwind, but it's really been amazing.
Now, we mentioned this Sunday live on the WWE Network, you'll be competing in the Money in the Bank ladder match. This is your first Money in the Bank match. How does one prepare for a match of this magnitude?
Yeah, it's tough to prepare for something like Money in the Bank. You know, it's really an unpredictable match. There's so many variables. But I'm just gonna, I think maybe I'm considered the underdog, so I'm just gonna go out there, take every opportunity that throws itself my way, and hopefully make a name for myself.
Sure. Now, Neville, do you have any favorite Money in the Bank match of the past, or any a possible cash-in that was memorable to you?
I know it's recent memory, but Seth Rollins cashing at WrestleMania, that was a very memorable moment. I was there live. I was out there in California. And I remember it happening live and not kind of quite believing it was happening. It was a huge moment, and it was certainly memorable for me.
Now, your finishing maneuver, the Red Arrow, is one of the most amazing things I've seen live. Is there any chance that we're going to get to see that off the top of a ladder come this Sunday?
Is there a chance? Absolutely. Like I say, so many variables. It's hard to predict or plan for a match like this. I know it's going to be carnage. I know it's going to be, very exciting to watch. But as far as being in it, I don't really have too much experience with these style of matches. I've had one ladder match before, where I wrestled Bo Dallas at NXT Arrival, the first NXT special. But outside of that, I don't really have too much experience, so I'm just going to go in there, with a positive attitude and see what happens, see what presents itself. But, if the opportunity does arise, I'm certainly prepared to go to lengths to make a name for myself on Sunday.
Sure. Now, the winner of the Money in the Bank can choose to cash in on the champion any time for an entire calendar year. If you win this Sunday, have you given much thought as to when you would want to cash it in?
Yeah, I haven't even considered that. I think right now my focus is just winning. But man, like I said, the possibilities are endless. And if you've got that briefcase, you've certainly got a power move to be played. It's really, and I think from someone like myself who's just recently debuted, if I manage to win that briefcase, it'll be huge for me at this stage in my career. So right now I'm just focusing on getting that opportunity and grabbing that contract come Sunday.
All right. Now, it's widely known that you were a huge wrestling fan growing up. Is it sort of surreal to you now to have your own WWE shirt and your own action figure coming out soon?
Oh, absolutely. It's crazy. I think the action figure especially, I've had T-shirts before, but the action figure was really a bucket list thing for me, It is surreal, like the fact that my nieces and my nephews are going to be playing with little action figures with me, and I don't know, it's crazy. It's very cool, and it's certainly, like I said, bucket list. I can kick that one off. It's awesome.
All right, now, it seems that since joining NXT, you have been achieving goals left and right. What's next for Neville to achieve, granted if you do win this Sunday at Money in the Bank?
Well, exactly. What's next to achieve? The briefcase, the contract, that's the next thing to achieve for me. And then, who knows, from that point onwards, if I grab it, obviously, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But it's hard to say. I am relatively new, and I'm still cutting my teeth and still just enjoying the experience and trying my best. And I'm a highly motivated person, so you never know what might happen. I'm always looking forward, but right now I'm just trying to enjoy the now.
Absolutely. Now, since making it to the main roster, you've wrestled everyone from Bo Dallas to John Cena. Who are some of the people that you're looking forward to locking up with?
Cesaro, certainly. I have a little bit of history with Cesaro through NXT. I've wrestled him once or twice in NXT, and he's somebody who certainly brings out the best in me. And, he's a world-class caliber athlete, so I always look forward to wrestling Cesaro. But there's lots of options. I'd love to wrestle Daniel Bryan at some point. So, it's hard to think about just one. There's lots of... I feel like also because I'm new, there's lots of fresh matchups that haven't been explored. So lots of different people I'd like to look at there.
Sure. Now, this past Monday on WWE Raw, you accepted Kevin Owens' NXT Open Challenge. As a former NXT champion, how well do you think Kevin Owens represents NXT?
Honestly, not so well. I've known Kevin for a while, and he's a very interesting character. I'm not sure if he's somebody I like too much, and I think he's a bit delusional. So I don't think he's the best representation for NXT. I think there's other guys that could certainly represent the brand better than what Kevin is doing now. But he's got a big match on Sunday with John Cena, so you never know what might happen there, and you never know what's going to happen after that with Kevin. But I don't know. I don't think he's the best guy to represent NXT, to be honest. As sad as I am to say that.
Now, you got called up to Raw the night after WrestleMania. What have been some of the biggest differences between wrestling for NXT and wrestling for Raw or SmackDown?
There's a few differences. I think the main one that I've experienced is, in NXT, generally the guys are a lot smaller than the guys on Raw and on SmackDown. So I find that in NXT, I wouldn't be pitted against such a size disadvantage than what I have been since moving on to Raw and SmackDown. So I've certainly had to adapt my style in that sense, to wrestle guys who are maybe, twice my size or whatever. So that's the biggest difference that I've experienced.
All right. Now, the WWE has a rabid fan base that stretches way beyond the U.S. With that being said, do you think it's time to take WrestleMania overseas?
Absolutely, 100%. Can you imagine a WrestleMania in Wembley Stadium or something like that?
I think we'd love it. We can't wait. So hopefully we're nudging everybody to, hey, let's try to see WrestleMania overseas one day. But it's always good to hear from a superstar's point of view on that.
Yeah, I'd love to see WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania is it's such a huge international event now. Regardless, I don't think it matters as much where it is. It's a world event anyway. But I think it would be just a very cool moment to see it overseas.
Now, your character is reminiscent of a superhero. Obviously, you already have flight covered. So if you had to choose another superpower, what would you choose?
Well, that's a tough question. I'm not sure. Maybe invisibility, because I'll be able to sneak around and spy on people.
All right. And now, lastly, too, there's a good chance that all your opponents in the Money in the Bank match this Sunday will be listening to this podcast. So, do you have anything you'd like to tell them before Sunday?
Yeah. I guess, I think generally no one expects much of me, but, I've spent my life exceeding expectations. And I know I'm not the most experienced, but come Sunday, the Money in the Bank ladder match is absolute carnage, so anything is possible. So I'd say don't take your eye off Neville. And you never know when I could hit that red arrow. And once I hit that, that's all she wrote as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Well, we cannot wait to see you this Sunday live on the WWE Network, Money in the Bank. Neville, we just thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope nothing but the best. We hope you walk away with this briefcase on Sunday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Once again, thanks to the new sensation, the man that gravity forgot, Neville, for joining us. Jonathan, what a guest. What a show today. It's going to be one of the best shows ever. I know you always say that, so I'm going to say it this week. But Jonathan, all the people out there listening right now, they usually want to voice their opinion. We want them to be involved with our show. So we have our own hotline. They used to do it in the 80s, but now we're doing it now. So guys, 802-AWP-7672. You can give us a call anytime, ask us a question, tell us what's going on, tell us about an old show you listen to. Hey, we're here for you guys. So Jonathan, let's play some calls we got this week.
Money, 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 money.
I just want to take a minute to thank Another Wrestling Podcast for my tickets to the Legends of Wrestling show this past weekend. Had an awesome time. And just want to let you all know that I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank this weekend, watching Kevin Owens kick Super Cena's ass. Thank you.
Hello, boys. The South's favorite son, born in New Jersey. Thoughts on Money in the Bank 2015. I think Ambrose loses, and although I know he's everyone's favorite right now, I think they're giving the Ambrose fans the treat by looking at him with the title. I don't think they're actually going to make him champion. Although I think you do a great job, but it doesn't really matter though, and it doesn't really matter who wins the ladder match. Because inside that briefcase is not a contract. Inside that briefcase is a one-way ticket to Suplex City at SummerSlam. Right? If I was in that match, I would dance around for 30 minutes and then I'd fall down somewhere. Because I don't want to fight Brock Lesnar, and nobody in the WWE really does. So that's my prediction. Doesn't really matter.
Hey guys, this is Josh Hill, the son of a plumber here in Red Hook, New York. Just want to drop some thoughts here. I know you got the big Money in the Bank episode coming up with Neville. Just want to say, I've never made it any secret, I'm not a huge fan of the Money in the Bank gimmick itself as far as the briefcase and the cashing in and all that. I don't like being swerved, okay? I like things easy. I like one-on-one matches for the belt, and that's it. With that said, I always enjoy the actual match itself for the briefcase. Who can deny that it's always exciting and cool? And when you get guys in there like Neville, you know it's going to be a hell of a night. I'm really looking forward to the match on Sunday. Thanks for listening.
Money, 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 money.
All right, awesome calls. You too can be a part of our show. Give us a call on our hotline. That is 802-AWP-7672 or 802-297-7672. 877-829-7672. But Steve, we need to get into this. It's a huge pay-per-view, probably one of my favorites for Money in the Bank. Lots of title matches, lots of matches that are going to have some repercussions that go throughout the year. So without further ado, let's get into this. King Barrett versus R-Truth. This is the WWE pre-show kickoff. Who do you have in this match?
Well, R-Truth hasn't had the greatest the showing lately, so I guess you could say the same thing for King Barrett, but I mean, I don't know. I think I have to go with my pick R-Truth. He is the wild card in this little pick. He had a little bit of an embarrassment coming out this week on Raw, but I mean, I think R-Truth is still trying to find himself, and hopefully this match he'll get one over on the King. So I'm gonna have to go with the wild card R-Truth getting this win.
Wow. I don't know if you're watching the same program that I usually watch, but you never bet against the King. And so for that and that alone, King Barrett is going to win in the pre-show.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, it is the pre-show. It kind of gets everybody in the mood and getting ready for the big show. But I mean, anything can happen, Jonathan. It is a WWE pay-per-view coming to you on the WWE Network for $9.99. And I can't believe for any of you out there listening right now who don't have the WWE Network, Jonathan, it's $9.99. Jonathan, I've had it since day one. I know you've had it since day one. What's everybody else doing out there?
I spend more on cheese a month than I do for the network. So get out there and really sign up. They're adding new stuff all the time. I can't tell you what I probably would have never left the house had this been around whenever I was a kid. So it's just an amazing thing. But with that being said, probably the most talked about match or rematch that you're going to see for some time, and that is John Cena versus Kevin Owens 2. Not Kevin Owens 2, but this is the rematch. So I'm looking forward to this match. What do you think about this match?
This match should be the main event almost. I mean, they've had quite the build-up. No other match on the show, not even the Money in the Bank, I think, has had the same build-up as John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, debuted in NXT in January. He's already beat Cena at the last pay-per-view. Jonathan, this is the rematch. I mean, he's been unstoppable, Kevin Owens. So I don't know. I think he's gonna do it again. I think he's gonna put Cena to rest in this one. So I don't know. I don't see Cena coming back and beating Kevin. What do you think?
Well, I'm hoping that Cena does win. I think it's going to be a close one, but I hope Cena wins in this instance just so we have a rubber match, maybe at SummerSlam. I don't know, but I would love to see a 3-match, showing between these two. And I think that Kevin Owens is here to stay, obviously, from what you've seen lately. But I think John Cena is going to pull out a win on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, because I mean, he's been on Raw, he's been on SmackDown, he's had his own NXT, expose of his own belt on the shows. So it's kind of interesting to see what happens with Kevin Owens, because I don't see him, leaving the spotlight so soon to go back to NXT. I mean, the bird's out of the cage, if you will. You know what I mean? The Pandora's box is open. He's out there, man. He's on national TV. He's beat John Cena in his first match on a pay-per-view. What more, can you say about that than your debut of beating Cena and even coming in, debuting and just super powerbombing him in the ring, to where he's a force to be reckoned with, Jonathan, and he's going to have quite the showing, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we can say about that match right now. It's going to be a barn burner of a match, but on to the next, our first of 4 championship matches. WWE Divas Championship, Nikki Bella, the champion, versus Paige. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction on this one. Nikki Bella is coming up on a little over 200 days as Divas champion, and I think that her days as champion are numbered and that Paige walks out a winner this Sunday.
That's right, Jonathan. I mean, nothing lasts forever.
Even cold November rain.
Even a cold November rain. But even especially Nikki Bella's Divas Championship reign. I think it's going to be coming to a close. I don't know. She could still pull off something with some more twin magic. The Paige is really ticked off about it. So, she should have a few tricks up her sleeve because she did also win the Divas Championship on her debut last year on Raw. So, I mean, she is a viable contender. So, it's going to be anything could happen, Jonathan. I mean, you're pulling for Paige. I still think something's going to happen with some twin magic, and I think they're just really, really going to piss her off to where we might even see a SummerSlam rematch or something happening. But I don't know. I think Nikki Bella is going to win this one at the end. So it's up in the air.
Hey, you out there listening to the show right now.
Hey, me?
Tweet. No, not you. Everyone else that's listening to another wrestling podcast right now. Tweet us your predictions for Money in the Bank, maybe things that you want to see that's happening or things that will happen. Tweet us at A Wrestling Pod. That's A Wrestling POD to let us know your thoughts on Money in the Bank.
That's right, Jonathan. We want to hear from everybody, too, because, I mean, I could talk to you all day, Jonathan, but we like hearing from the fans out there. We want to hear your thoughts out there, guys. We'll tweet you. We'll retweet you. Send us your thoughts. Let us know. But, Jonathan, there's a lot more matches to talk about. We have the WWE Tag Team Championship with the champions, The New Day, versus the Primetime Players. Jonathan, what do you think about this? Because right now, The New Day is going by that Freebird rule to where they pretty much got 3 guys on the tag team. Any of those guys can, team up to defend the titles. But they've kind of been using all 3 of them lately. So, what do you think is going to happen with this? Because, I mean, the Primetime Players, they broke up, they came back, and now, the fans are really behind them. So, I think there might be a new title change with this also as well this Sunday. What do you think?
This may be the only time that we agree ever, but the Primetime Players are in their prime, pardon the pun. They have came back strong since reuniting, and I think that they're going to beat the New Day on this Sunday. Primetime Players are definitely going to pull out this win.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. I mean, the WWE Tag Team Championship has, it's been back and forth lately, but I mean, I think these 2 teams are going to put on one heck of a show. It should be great. I'm hoping for the Primetime Players, but I don't know. Something about the New Day with that 3rd man always tells me that I think they could pull it off. But guys, Jonathan, I want to restate this because people listening for the first time, we're going through predictions. We're talking about some of the matches happening this Sunday on the WWE Network for Money in the Bank. But Jonathan, for somebody who's listening right now who's never listened to us before, is this what we do every week?
No, this is very untypical of us. We typically talk about topics. So that's a tongue twister if you're keeping track at home. Lots of T's. We talk about favorite Royal Rumbles. We talk about the best foreign objects. We talk about Raw. We talk about WrestleMania. We talk about things that you guys, the fans, want to talk about. Because after all, we are huge fans as well. So we're not going to tell you what you saw on Raw on Monday. We're not going to tell you what you saw on SmackDown, Ring of Honor, TNA, Lucha Underground, because you saw it. So we're going to talk to you about topics that you guys have chosen, and we really just want you to be a part of the show. So like we mentioned before, tweet us, talk to us on Facebook. If you see us at a show, which there's a lot that we're going to be at coming up, come talk to us and be a part of the show.
That's right, Jonathan. So we got to let all you guys know, and girls, and everybody else listening out there, what we do. Because usually we don't talk about a lot of current events happening this week. So today's a special one because we just talked to Neville. And why not talk about Money in the Bank? Because he is in the Money in the Bank briefcase match, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Jonathan, there's a lot more matches happening, though. We talked about Cena and Owens. We talked about the Divas Championship and the Tag Team Championship. We even mentioned the pre-show, Jonathan. What else could there be?
Well, so also on Sunday, the Intercontinental Championship is up for grabs. We have the big guy, Ryback, going against the bigger guy, Big Show. Now, there's been some renewed interest here. Big Show is not someone you typically see going for the Intercontinental Championship, but he's got this feud going on with Ryback right now. Very exciting. Not technically sound matches that you're going to see, but this is still going to be a clash of the Titans if there ever was one. And I just want to say I am really enjoying Ryback's work right now, and I hope that he pulls out a win against Big Show on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Ryback, the man's strong, right? He picked him up the other night. He can do some damage to the Big Show. So it's kind of even because if you think about it, the guys who usually face Big Show, probably don't have stand a chance about even picking him up, or let alone body slamming him. But the Ryback put him over his shoulders the other night. It didn't seem like it was too hard of a task, so I don't know. I don't think the Intercontinental Champion has anything to fear this weekend. I think he could pull it off against Big Show. Right now, the Big Show is just one angry giant. I think he's looking to gain some gold again. He's coming off from that win still from WrestleMania as being the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. Say that 5 times fast. So I don't know. I think he's just unhappy, and I think he wants some gold around his waist. And I guess Ryback was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was the first person Big Show saw. So at the end of the day, Jonathan, I think Ryback's still going to walk out with the championship.
All right. So now we go to the namesake match of the pay-per-view, the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now we have Roman Reigns versus Sheamus versus the gentleman we just spoke to, Neville, versus Dolph Ziggler versus Kane versus Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. Now, this is a main event match. A lot of huge names coming into this match and a lot of implications coming out of this match. Whoever wins has the opportunity to cash in that briefcase for a title shot within an entire year. It could be that night, or it could be at WrestleMania, as we saw with Seth Rollins last year. Steve, I'm going to ask you right away, putting you on the spot, who's walking away with the briefcase this year?
Man, when I first saw this, the first thing that came right to my mind was Roman Reigns. Out of all the guys, just looking at it on the card, when you see all the guys lined up next to each other, I think Roman Reigns has the best shot out of all of them. But don't count out Neville. The man's on fire right now. He's fast. The dude's fast, and if you can keep up with him, he's going to fly right up that ladder to get that briefcase. So, the bigger guys are going to have to, keep him on the ground. I'm just looking through the list, though, too. Sheamus, when I saw Sheamus, too, I was like, right there, too. He's the obvious winner. But, he hasn't had the greatest track record since coming back, so I don't really see him pulling this win off, though. You mentioned them all. Dolph Ziggler, Kane, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton. Nobody really stands out to me more than Roman Reigns, so I don't know. That's pretty much my pick, but I would like to see Neville or Dolph Ziggler get it. Dolph Ziggler a few years ago had that briefcase, cashed it in the night after WrestleMania 29, successfully against Alberto Del Rio, and then right after, was injured, lost the championship, and was out for a while and just never recovered from that. So I kind of, at the end of the day, too, would want to see Dolph Ziggler walk away and redeem himself, and then hopefully one day cash it in successfully for a nice, lengthy title run.
Well, if you look at this list, like you said, Roman Reigns and Neville are 2 newcomers to the match, and I don't know if they'll know exactly how to take on this monster that is the Money in the Bank ladder match. Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, Kane, Kofi, and Randy Orton are all veterans of this match. Kane with literally the most appearances ever in a Money in the Bank ladder match, 7. This will be his 7th. So as far as people that I see winning, it's a toss-up right now for me versus Roman or Sheamus. I'm kind of leaning towards Roman just because I see a lot of movement with the Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins thing. I really wouldn't be upset if any of these people walked away the winner, but I'm thinking that it's going to be Sheamus. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it right now.
Well, Jonathan, at the end of the night, a lot of these Money in the Bank winners have, held on to it for that right opportunity. Even look at Seth Rollins, hold on to it for over a year to cash in at WrestleMania. But do you think we can get a cash in that night, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's kind of not smart for the champion or the winner of the briefcase, just because they've just went through the most grueling match that they'll probably go through all year. So if it was me, I'd wait a little bit. Maybe the next night on Raw, whenever people are looking for, some excitement and they've had a chance to kind of get a little bit of rest, I would say that maybe that's when I would strike, is the next night after Money in the Bank after Raw.
All right, guys. Well, we got one more match left, but before we talk about it, once again, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Guys, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, all social media. Like us, follow us, subscribe on anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Jonathan, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be a ladder match, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Now, coming off the Money in the Bank ladder match, how do you think this ladder match is going to fare?
I'm really thinking that this may be, even though the Money in the Bank ladder match is typically my favorite match, I'm going to say that this match has the potential to be even better than that. You got two guys that are still going out there, even though Seth Rollins is the champion. They still have a little bit to prove because they both were very successful in the Shield, but I still feel like a lot of people are looking at them and trying to see if they'll be able to be that superstar. And I think with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, there's potential to just burn the barn down. We've got Dean Ambrose, who right now has the championship, even though he is not technically the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And I'm thinking that Seth Rollins somehow, some way, will find a way to pull out another win and upset Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with you, Jonathan, too, because, I mean, Seth Rollins, since becoming champion of winning it after cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase, all of his wins seem to be a little bit controversial. He's always had some help in his back pocket, from J&J Security to Kane to so on and so forth, so all of his wins have somewhat ended somewhat unrationally. But I think this Sunday, J&J Security's kind of ticked off at him. I think Rollins has to prove to everybody that he really is championship material, especially to the Authority. I think Rollins really needs that clean win versus Dean Ambrose, so I don't think we're going to see any shenanigans with this. But I do see Dean Ambrose losing and Rollins keeping his championship unless somebody decides to cash in. But I think we're going to see a clean win on this, so at least that's what I would hope for Seth Rollins anyway.
Yeah, I think that, it is the Money in the Bank, and that is like a special match of itself. Then to have another ladder match, I think someone could get involved in the end of that match, but I don't know that we're going to see a cash-in. But, anything can happen in the WWE, and that's why it's one of the most exciting nights of pay-per-view in the year. And you know what? We said it before. We'll say it again. It is on the WWE Network live for $9.99. I remember the days when you used to have to buy one pay-per-view that was around $60. So you're an absolute fool if you do not buy the network for $9.99. And I'm pretty sure that you get it for free this month. So what better deal is that?
Now, Jonathan, this isn't the 16th show for Money in the Bank, but it's the 16th Money in the Bank match. One of my favorite parts of WrestleMania have always been the Money in the Bank match, but they haven't done it in recent years because they just made it into a pay-per-view. Especially when they had two titles. They had two Money in the Bank matches, but now, we unified titles right now, and now we're just going for one. So there's only one Money in the Bank match. Do you kind of miss it being at WrestleMania, Jonathan? Because I always thought that was a little bit of a staple in recent times when you got to see that at Mania. A lot of people called it a spot fest, but I don't know. It was a crazy match, man. And kudos to all the guys who've been in it. It's one heck of a match. It's something you don't want to miss.
Absolutely. I think that I love the idea of the Money in the Bank being at its own pay-per-view, but I'm about to blow the doors off of this thing. I think it's time. We just saw it in the Elimination Chamber match this year, a tag team Elimination Chamber match. I think that we should not only have the Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE contract, but there should be one for the tag team titles, the contract for those, as well as the women's, and maybe even Intercontinental or US. So I say that they should do a couple of matches, and whenever you get that contract, you can cash it in for any of those titles. It doesn't just have to be the World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, with the women, if they do that match, then it would only count for the Divas Championship. But I think it's time that we have multiple Money in the Bank contract matches.
All right, that's a good idea. Maybe they'll take your idea and credit you for it. But it would be interesting, and it was really cool seeing the Elimination Chamber with tag teams. So hey, I guess anything can happen, Jonathan. But can we tell everybody out there who's the first winner of Money in the Bank? Do you remember?
I do remember, and it would be none other than the Rated R superstar, the Ultimate Opportunist. Edge was the first winner, and that was kind of when he was kind of teetering between fans kind of cared about him but didn't really care about him, and then the whole Matt Hardy thing was about to happen, and though he cashes in, and obviously set the tone for other great Money in the Bank winners to go on and, do something different with the briefcase or, use it as a weapon. So I credit Edge as the father of the Money in the Bank match, even though he didn't create it. But he's really the standard bearer, and what a great winner. Hall of Famer Edge for the very first Money in the Bank champion.
Yeah, man. And, it's also launched a lot of great careers. Like you said, I mean, Edge was the first winner. It kind of put Edge on the map right after that. I mean, holding that briefcase and then finally successfully cashing it in. You could speak that for all the Money in the Bank winners. I mean, even just recently, Seth Rollins, held it for a year. Didn't think he was going to do anything with it. Now he's still, right now, the WWE champion. Do you think, now I know not every cash-in has been successful, but do you think it's pretty much a guarantee, at least a 90% guarantee, that if you win this briefcase this Sunday, you're going to be the next WWE champion?
Yeah, because 13 out of the 15 cash-ins have been successful. So do the math out there, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I think that it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to be the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion if you are able to get this briefcase. And the match this year is great. We said the competitors, but I think whoever walks away with it, you're looking at the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Well, Jonathan, let me ask you this then, because, there's been a lot of controversy with Roman Reigns, and now we kind of both picked Roman Reigns winning this Sunday. Now, going into WrestleMania, the fans weren't behind it. They weren't really behind him going into the Heavyweight Championship match against Brock Lesnar. He put on one heck of a show. Do you think the dust has settled that if Roman Reigns was to win this Money in the Bank briefcase, knowing that maybe one day Roman could be the WWE champion, do you think he's going to have any backlash off of that or no?
I think that it's a little bit like John Cena right now. People just love to boo him because they think it's the cool thing to do. Roman has had an amazing showing lately, and there isn't really a lot of people out there that could tell me that he's not doing great or would be great as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So will there be backlash? There's always going to be backlash. People are going to boo if they like him. They're going to boo if they don't like him, whatever. But I think a Roman Reigns briefcase win is smart, and I think that it's probably something that's almost inevitable. Whether he wins the briefcase or not, we'll see a Roman Reigns reign sooner than later.
See what he did there.
Now, you mentioned it a second ago, a couple people who were not successful in cashing in their briefcase, John Cena and Damian Sandow. Now, what are your thoughts on this? And if you had to pick somebody to win this week that wouldn't necessarily be successful, who do you think you would pick?
Out of all these guys, I don't know. I could see Kane winning it to be like a big shock factor, and then just losing it to Seth Rollins. I could see he would be the kind of guy that would probably win it, try cashing in that night, and then something happens and it's a whole sham. But anybody else, I think Kane would be the big factor of winning it and losing it. Out of anybody else, nobody looks at Kofi really being a viable contender for this. He's going to have a lot of crazy stuff inside and outside of the ring. But I don't know. I'd love actually for Kofi to win it, but I think if he did win it, it would be another unsuccessful attempt. But those are just two little picks out of if I had to pick really quick.
Okay, well, I just came up with a little bit of a storyline here. Let's say Kane wins, all right?
All right.
Gets the briefcase somehow. Seth Rollins walks away as the loser in the Dean Ambrose-Seth Rollins match, and the Authority makes Kane give Seth the briefcase to go against Dean at the next, to cash it in, whenever they see fit.
That could be
so
interesting.
That's a little, it's a little armchair booking there, as I like to call it.
There you go. Well, speaking of booking, Jonathan, how about this? We talked a lot about Money in the Bank. We talked about predictions and winners and losers, what's going to happen on Sunday. But Jonathan, let's talk a little bit about some fantasy booking. If you had to pick your own 6-person Money in the Bank match and winner from past and present, throw them all into one match in their prime, what would you do? Am I putting you on the spot or what?
Sort of, but I've thought about this a lot, believe it or not. And obviously, if you listen to the show or you know me, you know that numero uno, is going to be Ravishing Rick Rude. I could just only imagine him coming out. What I'd like to have now is for all of you, fat, ugly men to sit down. I'm about ready to win the Money in the Bank. He would even have probably the briefcase airbrushed on his tights.
That's right.
Which would be amazing. And somebody else that I'm going to put into this Money in the Bank. So that's number one. Number two is going to be Dolph Ziggler, which pretty much is from the same mold as Ravishing Rick Rude. If I have to go further, I'm going to add one of the greatest of all times, HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Then Mr. Perfect, just to spice it up a little bit, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and none other than the yes man himself, Daniel Bryan. And obviously, my winner is going to be Ravishing Rick Rude. I can't see a better match, but I'm going to let you try this.
Right.
And
it's fun to think about, though, right?
Yeah, there's a good chance that and let me just say this, all right? You can't say Bret Hart 6 times. All right?
Fine.
They can't do that. And I'm going to go ahead and say you can't just say the whole Hart family in it.
Well, just let me pick.
Okay.
No.
All right.
You already said I can't say him 6 times, so I'll just use him once. My first entrant into the Money in the Bank match would be Bret Hart. So there. So that'd be number one, obviously.
Shocker.
The best there is, there was, ever will be, and so on and so forth. The next entrant I would have would be Owen Hart. I'm not going to pick the whole family, but these two for sure. I would love to see a brother and brothers in the match, especially these two in their prime. You have me sold already. Especially if it was back in the times when they're feuding against each other to, who's the better Hart to have them in this match. I think it would be really, really good. And then some of my other old-time favorites, Cactus Jack would be in there. Now, I don't think WWE's version of Cactus Jack. I would go old school and, give me some WCW or almost, the Japanese Cactus Jack, crazy one out there, just for the spots and all the crap he could do in this match. So Cactus Jack would be the third one. I like Scott Hall, regardless of where he is in his situations right now. But I would go with old school Scott Hall as Razor Ramon. He's a big guy in his prime. I mean, he's not some little guy. So putting him in there, I think he'd be one of the monsters in the ring for this. Can't even talk more about him. But Razor Ramon could be a fan favorite. Could be a favorite to win this, but let's see who else. Another guy I really love, and I wish he could come back already, would be John Morrison. Who doesn't want to see John Morrison in a Money in the Bank ladder match? Just the stuff he could do, alone with even Kofi Kingston, some remarkable stuff. So he's one of the high flyers of this match. And one of the people that we just rarely ever talked about or see would be Shelton Benjamin in this match. So a lot of
no relation
to Jonathan. So I mean, out of my whole card of guys who I would pick, I would definitely pick Owen Hart on this one. I know you're surprised. I know you would think I would be going with Brett. But I know if Owen was still around, I think, if he was in a Money in the Bank match, I would have loved to see him hold on to this briefcase for a year. Hell, hold on to it for 2 years. Even go back to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view a year later and just have him still holding on to the briefcase to where, they really can't have another match because Owen still has his briefcase because he's not ready to give it up. So I think he could have had, a gold mine with that gimmick, and it would have been fun to watch if Owen won it. So that would have been my match, surprisingly or not, Jonathan. The other Hart one, the Black Heart.
Money, 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 money.
All right, we had a great show today. We talked to the man that gravity forgot, Neville. Can't say enough good things about this gentleman. Can't wait to see what he does this Sunday at Money in the Bank. Guys, remember to go to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. We have some amazing events coming up.
Community calendar.
Have you ever wanted to share a taco with Tito Santana? If your answer is yes, then go to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com to find out how. Have you ever wanted to match wits with the genius Lanny Poffo? Go to Another Wrestling Podcast to find out how. And have you ever wanted to see us live in person doing our show? Well, go to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com to find out how.
That's right, Jonathan. And everybody tuning in, this week we have another show coming up. We have none other than Jeff Jarrett joining us, talking a little bit about Global Force Wrestling. Then next week we have Mean Gene Okerlund and Scott Stanford joining us, talking a little bit about some interviewers of the pro wrestling universe. We also have June 22nd, George the Animal Steel will be joining us, talking about some legends. And speaking of legends, Jonathan, as we are headed on our way to the New England Fan Fest, we're going to be talking to Jim Ross on June 25th, the weekend right before FanFest. Guys, so what a lineup. A lot of great guests coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you subscribe to us and don't miss a show. It's easy, guys. Head on over, like Jonathan said, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Click on all the buttons on the top, all the links from iTunes to Stitcher to Player FM to TuneIn. We're out there. Like us, follow us, and subscribe to us. And Jonathan, if you're looking for some clothes to wear and you don't really have anything to wear for a night out on the town, and maybe you're going to a wrestling show and you just need a new shirt, well, head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/AnotherWrestlingPodcast. Pick up some original AWP shirts.
We want to thank all of our fans and listeners out there, so tune in next week for
Another Wrestling Podcast.